Hello everyone, and welcome. Today we'll be doing a mini review for the new World of Thracia Reinhardt. Swordhardt is one of my new favorite units, so I'm excited to give him a closer look. Reinhardt is a sword cavalier with 157 BST. Like his tome version, the new Reinhardt has excellent attack, great mixed bulk, and awful speed. Reinhardt's personal weapon is the Master Sword, an 11 might brave weapon that works on both phases. Like I mentioned in my original review, the Master Sword is the focal point of Reinhardt's kit. It makes Reinhardt uniquely powerful, and it has potent synergies with many other skills. His other base skills are tame in comparison. He has a defensive special, Death Blow A, Vantage B, and Spur Attack Defense C. Aside from the dual spur, these skills can all be found on common units, so Reinhardt's usefulness as fodder is limited. Before we talk about specific builds, let's take a minute and go over the Master Sword and Reinhardt in detail. First, the Master Sword is a brave weapon. It deals damage twice on each attack. If Reinhardt would double for any reason, he will quad instead. This works on both phases. Naturally, skills which guarantee follow-up attacks or change attack priority are amazing. Quick Riposte is the most obvious synergy, but Vantage, Breakers, and other skills work as well. Reinhardt's mixed bulk is impressive among cavaliers, but that bulk can be misleading. Thanks to his speed, anything he can't kill is going to double, and those doubles will often be lethal. His defenses are solid, more than enough to handle green units, but if you want to tank reds, you'll need to boost them further or run Swordbreaker. Reinhardt is an excellent user of distant counter. With 68 magical bulk at neutral, Reinhardt can take a hit and then kill mages on retaliation. He can even kill some blue mages, but you need to watch out for res debuffs and effective damage. The Brave effect on the Master Sword increases special charge for both Reinhardt and his enemy. This is a double-edged sword. Reinhardt can use powerful and unconventional specials, but his opponent will get theirs too. Skills that affect charge rate, like Guard, can help a lot. Heavy Blade is also an option, but Reinhardt will need some attack buffs to consistently activate it, even with a plus attack nature. When it comes to C skills, Reinhardt has plenty of choices. Cavalry buffs and tactics are always going to work on emblem and mixed teams. Smoke skills work too, especially on his distant counter sets, and defense smoke in particular adds a ton of damage to his attacks. His resistance is almost high enough to use ploys, but I wouldn't recommend it unless you decide to invest in extra res. Finally, Reinhardt is one of the best candidates for the Deflect Seals. When initiating, Deflect Melee will always activate when the enemy doubles. Deflect Missiles protects him from Brave Bows, and if you use Deflect Magic, he can survive most mages without relying on distant counter. The Deflect Seals make Reinhardt substantially more resilient, but they do have a big opportunity cost. Let's take a look at some builds. As always, these builds aren't the only way to build Reinhardt, they're just some that I like. They may not be optimal for you, but you can use them as a starting point for your own experimentation. Let's begin with maybe the most obvious Swordhardt build: Distant Counter, Quick Riposte, and Vantage. By combining Distant Counter, Quick Riposte, and Vantage, Reinhardt becomes an enemy phase monster. The first enemy that initiates takes a quad. If he's still alive after that, he'll be in Brave Vantage range. This build isn't anything new, but the ability to retaliate with Brave hits adds a fun twist to it. The A skill is Distant Counter, the B skill is Vantage, the C skill is Defense Smoke, and the Seal is Quick Riposte. Def Smoke isn't mandatory, but it does increase his Brave damage by 14 by itself. As a variant of this set, we have a more conservative Distant Counter build that uses Guard instead of Vantage. This set is resilient to one-round KOs in melee, but will be more vulnerable to mages and archers. The guaranteed quad is a ton of damage, and Reinhardt should always win his favored matchups. At low merges, it's likely better to stick with Vantage. As your score range increases, Guard will become a better choice. In addition to Guard, we can also change out Defense Smoke for Attack Smoke, if you want to lean into the dedicated tank idea. Moving on to non-distant counter sets, let's begin with a very safe close defense build. Like the DC sets, this build relies on the power of Quick Riposte to secure kills on the enemy phase. Instead of Distant Counter or Vantage, we move QR to the B slot and run CD6 for a significant boost to defense and res. With this set, before buffs, Reinhardt can reach a very respectable 4340 mixed defense stat line in combat, more than enough to handle melee threats. In the A slot, we run close defense. The B slot is QR. The the C slot is attack smoke, and the Sacred Seal is close defense. Like the distant counter sets, you can play around with variations on this core idea. Replacing the close defense seal for deflect magic or missile is an option against ranged opponents. Distant defense is a compromise between melee and range defense, and quick and pulse opens up more potent retaliation options. I think these two sets are safe picks for Swordhardt. It basically comes down to running distant counter or running a defense buff. Next, we'll consider some more creative builds. Let's start with a Brazen Vantage build. Although similar to the first set we looked at, this build drops distant counter in order to make Vantage stronger. The goal is to apply defense smoke and then enter Brazen attack defense in our first round of combat. Then, opponents on the following turn need to fight through 28 extra damage on Reinhardt's Brave attack, not counting a special activation. This build is identical to a build I showed off in my Exalted Chrom review. Although Chrom makes great use of defense debuffs and attack buffs, Reinhardt does it even better. The A skill for this build is Brazen Attack Defense, the B skill is Vantage, the C skill is Defense Smoke, and the seal is Quick Riposte. QR is not mandatory, but it does help a lot in the first engagement. The main advantage of this set compared to a more stable enemy phase build is the ability to player phase. When using distant counter, steady stance, or close defense, you lose out on a lot of attack from the A slot. Brazen skills don't have this problem, so Reinhardt can bait on one turn and then attack on the next. Using the Brazen set as a starting point, let's take a look at one of its stranger variants. This set is clever. By combining Deflect Melee and Vantage, we ensure that Deflect is always active when Reinhardt attacks. On the player phase, Reinhardt strikes first and eats a double if he doesn't kill. On the enemy phase, as long as he's within Vantage range, he strikes first again, and the damage reduction bonus will activate there too. The extra defense from Brazen Attack Defense combined with the damage reduction from Deflect Melee should be enough to keep Reinhardt alive even if Vantage fails to kill. Player phasing with Swordhardt is a world of trade-offs, and there's no way to shore up all of his weaknesses at once. If you're worried about enemy reds, consider replacing Vantage with Swordbreaker. If you're worried about specials, try replacing Vantage with Guard. Either way, you'll always have a few key vulnerabilities, so make sure you check the combat preview before engaging and watch out for Steady Breath. While playing on the player phase is possible with Swordhardt, I think enemy phase builds are more consistent, stable, and do a better job of playing to his weapon and stat line. Building Reinhardt is fun because he isn't linear. He has a wide array of tools at his disposal, and you can mix and match them to create some bizarre yet effective builds. In the interest of time, I've skipped over a lot of other sets, but I don't want to leave those skills unmentioned. As a reference, I've gone ahead and created this chart with a selection of choices for each skill that I think are interesting. Instead of referencing a specific set, I recommend picking and choosing from this list until you find a combination that fits your team and playstyle. If you don't have Swordhardt, I wouldn't break the bank chasing him down, but if you're a veteran looking for a unit chassis to experiment with, he's definitely intriguing. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like or subscribing. You can find me on Twitter at DireThunderYT, so feel free to send me cool stuff or just drop by to say hello. As always, I hope to see you next time. Take care.